Girl, you the man, and she love me when I'm in it, and she never be pretending, nothing is real. She gon' tell you what she bought it, cause she know you can't afford it. Know you can get it, looking exquisite, no competition, stay on the...
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the East Spot with Camille. You need to see me. There we are. Hi, I'm Camille Cower, your host for the evening. Well, technically Monday through Thursday. I'm here every evening, keeping you guys company and you guys keeping me company. I'm very excited. Tonight, at some point, we will have Amadeus. Hopefully, I'm still waiting for him to show up. To be honest. So let's see what happens. Amadeus is a huge drummer. He's worked with so many people. He's worked with Chris Brown, Trey Songz, a lot of greats. I realized I was going back and forth trying to find where he may be because he posted about it. So I know he's aware. And he was the one that actually booked this event with me. So, yeah, but it's not like I have to worry about his publicist hasn't told him or something, which, I mean, why would that happen? But anyway, so yeah, I'm going to find him. We're just going to keep chatting. So let's see what happens. Read above. I'm also going live on Instagram just in case he happens to come through Instagram and realizes, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be on Facebook. I have it open. Oh, the bio in my link isn't working. Dagnabbit. See, here we go. I'll be back. So you got to go to Camille Cower website. That's where I'm at. You can find me on Instagram. I'm not Instagram, excuse me. Facebook or YouTube. I'm now live on both streaming platforms, which is super exciting because when I first purchased this, they made a point of saying they had it and then not so much happened. So I'm going to go to my bio and fix it there too, because apparently in my bio it doesn't actually work. So that could be throwing people off as well. So go ahead and let me know. Make sure that you guys can hear me okay and that everything's working on this side, because I want to make sure everything's working before we keep going. So give me a thumbs up. Let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, waiting. We'll see. But Amadeus, he has worked on several things. Like I was saying earlier, I'm actually going to pull up his information so I can tell you all of it because it's pretty impressive. Like his media kit, considering how young, well, he looks young. You never know. You know, some people just really take really good care of themselves. But just from his experience, he's done so much. His discography is, let's see, how many pages? 5 pages long. Ah, here he is. Yay! You sure do know how to make a girl sweat over here. Got me over at improving, telling jokes, getting ready to start dancing next. So, hi, Amadeus. I'm so glad you're here and you could join us. How's everything going with you?
All is well. It was funny because I ran out to do a little store run, and I'm thinking, just jump on live real quick, and then I saw the message, and I was like, oh.
Whoopsie.
So
it's okay.
Sorry for my tardiness.
Look, you were worth the wait because it would have been even funnier if I started playing the drums with my desk or something.
What
happened? No, but I'm so curious. So how did you get the name Amadeus? Let's start there because every time I say your name or see your name, I start singing the soundtrack.
Hey.
That's why I had it in about Amadeus. Anyway,
hey.
I'm not going to break your eardrums because you've worked with real singers. So tell me, how did you get the name Amadeus?
So growing up, I decided that I wanted to be a record producer, right? And it was that most important part where it's like, okay, this is what you want to do. So what do you want to call yourself, right? And I personally went with the name, believe it or not, A Boogie. Now, this was about 19 years ago, and everyone laughed, made jokes about it. And I'm like, I like it. I'm not sure why no one else likes it, but I like it. But you know, it didn't really have any real meaning behind it, right? So my production partner at the time, shout out to my brother Steve Soup White, he's like, yo, why don't you use Beethoven? And I'm like, I don't want to use Beethoven. He's like, why don't you use Wolfgang? I was like, I don't want to use Wolfgang. He's like, why don't you use Mozart? I was like, dude, like, where are you getting these names from? And then he's like, why don't you use Amadeus? And I was just like, I still had the same face, believe it or not. But I was like, I don't know, man. He's like, dude, trust me. Like the name sounds amazing because your real name starts with A. Like it's pretty cool. And for me, I didn't really love it at first. I'm not gonna lie. But I recall seeing the movie as a youngin in school. And as I thought back to the movie, you know, which you know, you were singing earlier, I'm like, we do have a lot in common. You know, Amadeus, the real Amadeus, is very silly. He's a clown, and that's me. He chased girls all over the place, and at that time, young Amadeus, that was me. Very silly, but very gifted and talented, right? And just, you know, did phenomenal work musically, right? So when I thought about that, I was like, you know what, this might be kind of dope because I would kind of try to be considered as the hip hop, pop, R&B Amadeus, you know, because Amadeus, Mozart, Wolfgang, you know, really created classical music.
He was a composer.
So I wanted to take on the challenge of being the Amadeus of R&B, pop, and hip hop. So that's kind of how the name came about. Again, I didn't really love it. I didn't start loving it until I heard people call me Amadeus. And I was like, you know, it does have a little ring to it. And then everyone that I met that I introduced myself to would be like, that's a powerful name. Like that's major. Like, you know, you the real deal. So if I press play, I'm probably gonna hear, you know, some real dope. So it's kind of pressure in a way too. And then years later down the line, you know, when I'm actually mature, I learned that it meant, you know, that means loves God, you know, and that's absolutely who I am. I'm definitely a God-fearing man. So that part was just the icing on the cake when it came to, you know, deciding on the name. So that's how the whole name came about.
Oh, wow. I love that story. I'm glad. So now are you still friends with the guy who came up with the name? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that is my brother. That is my big brother. Shout out to, again to Steve Sue White. So the connection with him is my pastor and bishop, who's actually a queen. She's a female pastor and bishop, is his mom, right? And she's the reason that I have the sauce and the seasoning as a musician, because she was the one that opened up her doors at her church and allowed me to actually be a musician and become a musician as a youngin, you know, growing up. So, you know, I want to give a shout out to them. And I want to, you know, on a serious note, she's actually in the hospital at the moment, not COVID-19 related, thank God. Okay. But she's still in, you know, she's battling some ailments. So for those that are tuned in, she's an amazing woman of God, been a tremendous blessing to me in my life as a man, as an individual, as a musician, and who I am today. So if anyone is willing and able to send up a prayer for her, you know, during these challenging times that she's facing and her family, please do. Her name is Bishop Michelle White. So just mention her name in your prayers, and thank you for even bringing him up, you know, because it's a trying time for him and his family right now. But I love them both.
Yeah, as I can only imagine. And thanks for sharing all about that as well, because we'll definitely be thinking about her and putting her in our prayers.
Thank you so much.
Now, so back to you though. So as a musician, where did you start? What was what was it inside of you that was like, I got to be a musician before becoming a producer, before becoming Amadeus, when you were, I guess, at Sister Bishop's church? Like, what was the instrument that spoke to you first?
So real quick, growing up, my parents sacrificed, sent me to Catholic school all my life. First to 12th grade, I attended Catholic school, right? So growing up, I'm from the Bronx, New York. And in my city, there was a school called St. Augustine School of the Arts, right? And had a privilege of attending that school. Now with the school, the program offered, you know, for you to learn a musical instrument. And I really wanted to learn the trumpet and the saxophone, right? I wasn't feeling good on this particular day. My mother and father never, ever in life let me stay home. But for some strange reason, they let me stay home this day. But it happened to be the day where you chose the instrument you wanted to learn. I show up next day for school. All the slots for the saxophone and the trumpet are taken. Only thing left is percussion and the violin. Now, from the Bronx, from the hood, from the projects. I'm already a target because I'm dressed in slacks, a shirt and a tie every day, going to school, walking through the hood. What we not going to do, and this is my way of thinking all the way in 4th grade, what we not going to do is add a violin to that of me walking through the hood dressed up with a violin. We're never doing that. So I didn't even know what percussion meant, but I was like, I'm telling you what I'm not going to do. I'm not choosing the violin. So chose percussion, walked into the classroom, realized immediately that percussion had everything to do with rhythm, drums, xylophone, bongos, congos, congas, and that was it. And I never touched the instrument ever in my life, never had any intuition or idea of being a musician. And it was simple. The teacher said, I'm going to play these beat patterns, these rhythm patterns on the drums. I want to go around the classroom to see who can, imitate the patterns I play.
Mm-hmm.
Going around the classroom, nobody's able to do it. He gets to me. Try this. My name is Antwan. Try this, Antwan. So I try it. And I play the same thing he played. And he's like, try this. Did the same thing. Well, try this. Did the same thing. Mind you, never touched drumsticks ever in my life. Never had any idea, any inkling of wanting to be a musician at all. And it was in that moment where I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is, but for some reason I'm able to do this. It's just pretty cool. And I was like, funny because I became the popular guy because they're like, okay, that kid can play the drums. So I liked that aspect of it. And, he would give me VHS tapes and cassette tapes of professional drummers that were amazing. And I sat there listening to them all. And I'm like, so you're telling me if I apply myself, if I practice, if I work hard at this instrument, one day I can be professional, one, and two, I can sound like this? And he's like, yes. And that was the moment where I'm like, okay, I'm going to go hard with this. And I really fell in love with the instrument. Went to high school doing my thing with the instrument, joined the church that I was telling you about, Faith Simple Church, where I was allowed to be the musician. I started off on the congas there because my big bro, Sue, was the drummer there, so me hearing him and seeing, because the drummers that the teacher showed me were drummers of other races, and I didn't know, I didn't put nothing to it, so there was no issues with it. But for me, when I saw someone who looked like me do it, that was a whole nother level of inspiration, because I'm like, here's a young black man that looks just like me, that's from where I'm from, that applied himself and sounds amazing. And, immediately I was motivated by that. And that's kind of how that whole musicianship side came together. And not to jump forward, but that's kind of what made everything else fall in place in regards to production, because production has everything to do with melody and rhythm. I felt like I had, the blueprint and the cheat code because I was a drummer. So I had the upper hand, and I'm like, why not? And, transitioned into production, fell in love with that. And, just started having dreams of one day, playing drums all around the world and touring the world and playing all of these big arenas, Madison Square Garden, being that I'm from New York, and, and one day becoming this big record producer, with plaques hanging on the wall and people loving the music that I've created. That was the dreams that I started having at that young age. I was about 14, 15, 16 years old. And I really locked in. Like I said, I loved it, still love it, extremely passionate about it. And I just put my head down and hustled, remained respectful throughout the whole process. I knew that God gave me the gift that I possess. So it was about taking that gift that he gave me and just nurturing it and protecting it and loving it and doing all that I can do on my end to come close to perfection as I can, as a musician and as a producer.
Now, since you started at such a young age with drumming at 4th grade, was there ever a time where you thought about doing something else, or that you thought maybe, because you hear it so often with people who pursue careers in the arts of, well, you're going to need a full-time job or a real job to pay for your hobby or your dream job. Was there ever a point in your life where you had those moments or thought about doing something else as well?
My other love, and I haven't really talked about it, so I'm so glad that you asked. My other love was sports. I really loved basketball. I thought I was good, and it was one day I was in high school. I'll never forget it. And I was late downstairs to the gym for basketball tryouts, right? So I was already late. I'm coming in. I'm trying to jump in the line to continue, and just get in line in regards to what's happening. And I make a joke. And I made a joke. And when I made the joke, a lot of my classmates laughed out loud. And when the teacher and the coach recognized it was me, he kicked me out of the tryouts. And I remember running upstairs and going to the dean, like, they just kicked me out of tryouts. I really want to try out. I really want to be a basketball player. It was, and he's like, if he kicked you out of tryouts, there's nothing I can do. And that was a moment that I went through. And I've always asked myself, if I'd never clowned around, where would I be? Would I, had a real opportunity to pursue a basketball career? Was I good enough? That I'll never know. So that was another love of mine that I had. But that whole the music thing was it for me. And I feel like God makes no mistakes. I shouldn't have joked at the time that I joked. But I think that joke really pushed me into what it is that I truly love. Because if I would have joked, I could have been trying to, LeBron James somewhere. But I don't know, man. So I'm no regrets. No regrets.
I mean, I just think about even with like you not getting to choose your instrument of the trumpet or saxophone. Like sometimes, even though you might have a plan, what is the saying? You have a plan, but God laughs. So like even still, you might have made it on the team and could have jammed up your fingers and couldn't play drums anymore. So you really never know. So
that
it's
is
one
true.
of those things
that is so true.
The other way as well.
Right. That's so true.
So now, so you graduate high school, then how do you become all that you are now? Like, how did you get to this point? Because
right. I mean, it really
behind you.
it really started in high school. I was already making beats. I was already producing, and again, kind of, shaping and molding me as a musician and as a producer. I couldn't wait to go to school after I went to the studio that night and play everybody my beats. And it was just kind of fun to see people, appreciate what I was doing as a producer and figuring and finding my way musically. So to kind of start gaining fans amongst my peers and classmates was very inspirational and motivating to me. So that's where it started, So a lot of the beats that were starting to get placed and sold once I was out of high school were already tracks that I had already created when I was in high school, So I started very early. I was very focused. Lost a lot of friends, lost a lot of girlfriends, because that's what it took in order, to really have tunnel vision and to focus on what I wanted to do and what I wanted to become. And, that's something that people, really think it's a joke when you think about like Kanye West, and he was like, yo, man, 8 straight summers. Like, yeah, I was the same way, where I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to do the regular, normal, young teen activities. It was school, all of the bands that I was in school, marching band, the parade band, the jazz. I was in all those bands. Then I had church. So me being a musician at church, I had to be at church on Tuesdays for prayer. Wednesday nights were choir rehearsals. I had to be there. Friday nights was church. All day Sunday was church, and I would try to figure out schoolwork and then squeeze in time to produce. So it's like, for me, I ain't no time for no girl, man. I ain't no time to be going bowling and going to the movies. Like, how would I be great if I'm doing all of those other things? So that was kind of, my thought process as a young musician. And then once I got out of high school, everything really took off for me, because I was able to devote all of my time and energy into pursuing that. Networking, trying to meet people, trying to meet label people, standing in front of studios, standing in front of label buildings, hoping Jay-Z or Puff will walk out and I can run up to them and introduce myself, hand them a beat cassette tape, hand them a beat CD. That was the process for me. And a lot of the young kings and queens don't understand that process, because you have the internet and technology and social media, which is none of what I had growing up. I had to be out there. I didn't have no computer, no phone, I had to go figure out how to get to, where those places were. I read the back of CDs to see where Arista was at, where Bad Boy was at, because it would say the address. You
Right,
know what I'm
right.
saying? I would call information to get the number of Bad Boy and call up to see if Puff picked up one day. Like, these are all the things that I did to get to, you know, where I was at today. I even went a step further where in the CD booklets, the A&R's email address would be in there. So I would email the A&R's introducing myself. Some would respond, some wouldn't. I even set up meetings based off of me, you know, blind emailing and not knowing who I am and being at the labels playing my music. So those are all of the things that I was a part of in my come up.
Yeah. Now, what was that first yes like? Like, people hear no's all the time, but what did it feel like when you first got that first yes, whether it was a meeting or an actual opportunity came from it? What was that like?
Amazing. You know, I had a lot of meetings, you know, before anyone said yes. And when I'm saying, when my meaning of yes is more so like, yes, we want this beat, we want this track, we want to put it on this project, we want to put it on this album. So
Mhm.
I've had years of just meetings, of just going up there, playing my beats for A&Rs, playing my beats for managers, having some opportunities to play my music and tracks for artists directly. You know, that's what it was for me. And it took quite some time, a few years before, you know, I eventually got a yes. And I'll never forget it. You know, I met with Antwan Marchand, right? So Antwan Marchand was the director of A&R and Interscope Records. And if I'm not mistaken, he was working on, remember City High? He's working on City High. And it was so cool. I went in there and played the music. I'm in the record label. I see the big Interscope sign, and I'm in the office hearing my music in the big speakers. I'm all hyped. And he stops the music and he's like, yeah, these are really dope, but, you know, they don't really fit for what I'm working on here at this label, right? But then he goes, but I have somebody that I think, you know, your music and your tracks would fit perfectly. And he's like, you know, my little sister. So I'm like, your sister? Like, who's your sister? And he's like, Foxy Brown. I'm like, it's not your sister, bro. Like, and he's like, bro, my name is Antwan Marchand. And for me, I'm a Foxy Brown fan. So if you know Foxy's name, Foxy's real name is Inga Marchand. And I just put two to two together, and I'm like, yo, this is really Foxy's brother. This is crazy. And he's like, listen, my sister's going to be in the studios. The studio is Chung King in the city, New York. My sister's going to be in the studio at 7 o'clock tonight. Go there, play the same beats you played me in the same exact order. He's like, I know she's going to love some of these. Right? So I'm excited. Then 7 o'clock strikes, pull up to the studio, walk in the studio, and I'm like, wow, so that's Foxy Brown. He's like, what's up, Amadeus? Yeah, my brother was telling me you got some heat. She was like, straight to the point, where that?
Yeah.
Put the joint in, press play, and, you know, she was like silent and just kind of popping her head. Real cool, real calm, real collective, nothing crazy, just bobbing her head, cool. Went through a bunch of tracks. She's like, all right, I like number 3, like number 4, 5, 6, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I'll holler. Like, all right, cool. Went home that day on 1,000. Like, no, this video, Foxy Brown, I played a mad beats, boom, boom. She liked a few.
Yeah.
Just hype, just on a high, right? Get a call the next day. And they're like, yo, Foxy wrote 2 records to your tracks. One is called Get Off Me, right? And this Get Off Me record she wrote was a diss record towards female rapper Eve. That was, you know, part of Rough Riders.
Right. No, I know.
This record. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I'm like super scared because I'm, one, you know, I'm in the hood, right? 2, I actually live in Yonkers, which is like the home of Rough Riders.
Right.
3, I love Eve. I want to work with Eve, right? So I'm freaking out, like not even knowing what to do. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. She didn't ruin my career, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that's one song. The other song was, which is this plaque right here. Let me see if I can. This plaque right here, which is the Cradle to the Grave movie and soundtrack, which featured DMX, Jet Li, Anthony Anderson, Gabrielle Union, Dragon, right? The second song was the actual title song to that movie and soundtrack. And that was my first.
Wait.
Yeah.
I gotta sink this all in. So your years of no, and you didn't give up, which I wanted to go back and say, like, wow, like I want to know like how you stay motivated, because people hear no's all the time and sometimes they listen. So but then to get a platinum, the first beat, and it's not just with any old body, it's
Right.
with the Foxy Brown in a movie with EVE, which you were almost scared of the old disc record thing. Wow.
Yeah,
And
so that's
really,
my first ever,
yeah.
official, we call it as producer's placement. And,
Okay.
it was just a real surreal moment for me, man, because I've been putting in, all of this work for so many years, and it's starting to happen. And it's like my first situation is in the movie. Like the song is playing in the movie. The song is on a soundtrack, but then the song is the actual name of the movie, So it's like crazy. I remember sitting in the movie theater watching it and bugging out and like tapping people like, that's my song. And they're like, whatever. And then, the credits rolling at the end and I see my actual name in the credits at the end. At that time, CDs and cassette tapes were still heavy. So I remember going to FYE, which is a CD store,
Right.
purchasing the CD, opening up the CD to see my name in the credits. Just an amazing moment of and a moment of like, wow, all of my hard work and labor is paying off. This is exciting. And it was all worth it. And it was just how I started, right? So it was kind of excitement and pressure, right? Because I'm saying to myself, dude, like, the first thing you've ever done earns you a gold plaque. The project sold over 500,000 units. Like, and I'm talking about actual CDs and not streams, not downloads. Like, you went in there and went and bought the CD or the cassette tape, like physical. And it's like, where do you go from here? So it's a moment of motivation and a little pressure, because it's like, if this is how you started, everything that comes after this has to be as great as this or better. And I'm not saying better in a disrespectful way. I'm just saying better in regards to you have to keep growing as a musician and as a producer. So that was my start.
Wow. Wow. Like that. I was looking at your resume. I was like, wait, what did he do before 2003? If Foxy Brown's the first thing he's listing. And yeah, that's where he starts. But that's not where you end. I mean, you've worked with, and I'm just going to go down the list because there's Little Mo, Talib Kweli, Cameroon, 50 Cent, LaToya London, Jim Jones, Lil Mo, Foxy Brown again.
Right.
You came back and you did do a diss with
Yeah.
Ian. So how did that work out? Or even working with 50 Cent? Any stories you want to share about any of those?
Just exciting. I think, for me, Little Mo was at the beginning of my career, so I'm extremely grateful for her for giving me a chance, because you got to think, like, in the entertainment business, especially the music business, like, there's a lot of politics involved, in regards to people working with producers who are already established and have a track record and have a name, so for like Foxy Brown to give me a chance and a shot of with me not ever producing for anyone or, working as a producer at all, for her to give me a shot. Little Mo, Mike Jones, these are all people, Cameron, that kind of gave me an opportunity in the beginning before I really earned a real respected name as a musician and as a producer. So, it was just amazing to see, man, of me, 19 years later, blessed to be able to say, yeah, I produced for over 100 major artists, and me being from the Bronx, working with J-Lo and Remy Ma and Papoose and producing probably over 50 songs with Chris Brown, some released, some unreleased, and that's from in regards to the production, right? And then we talk about touring. We'll be touring with Trey Songz for 13 years. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. And that's why I love, when amazing individuals like yourself, have a conversation with me and allow me to express myself and, share my journey and my path and my dreams, hoping that my story will encourage someone and inspire someone, to do the same. Not the same as me, but the same as in regards to not giving up on yourself and believing that you're worthy enough to live the best life ever, and believing that you do have what it takes, either male or female, to succeed in life at whatever it is that you're most passionate about in life. So I'm just grateful to be here. And that's why, I love these conversations, because I wasn't able to see this coming up. I wasn't able to sit back and watch interviews of people tell their story and really hear the behind the scenes of how things came together. I had to just get in, jump in, and figure it out, you know. And I don't have any regrets because it allowed me to work so much harder because of what I didn't have access to, you know, and it's a blessing.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you didn't give up. And actually, Rhonda Marie even brings it up. So glad you didn't give up. And I'm curious, what was some of what kept you from giving up? Because it is so easy. You keep hearing no and like self-doubting yourself, especially being an artist. Like you take things very, 'cause you're the one making the sounds and the
Right.
music and so on. Like it's real personal in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So how did you handle that? And what advice would you give for others that might get some of those no's every once in a while?
I mean, it's a part of the process, you know. Just know that in life, any person who you look up to, you admire, you respect, enjoy what they do, entertainment wise, musically, sports world. You know, there was some rejection, and rejection shouldn't discourage you. Rejection shouldn't, you know, deter you from going after what you want to go after. It should actually motivate you, right? And it's people are like, really, how? It's like, yeah, because not everyone that says no to you is hating. Not everyone that says no is like trying to stop you from being great or being successful. You know, it might be a point where you're not ready yet. And it's as simple as that. And it's like, I'm going to be 100, I'm going to be real, and I'm going to say no because you're not ready yet. That you haven't worked up until the point where you're ready to go. You know, so look at those no's as, okay, I need to work harder. I need to polish my gift even more. I need to practice even more. I need to study even more to show myself worthy of whatever it is that I'm after in my life, you know? So, and I have to be honest, you know, and transparent, of course, as I've been. It doesn't feel good, of course, because deep down inside, you know, when I'm listening to the beats that I'm making, I'm mad hype. I'm excited. I'm like, but it's because it's my work, and it's because of understanding the process of knowing what I created and knowing that it started with nothing. Like I created, you know, nothing to something. So for me, it's exceptional and it's grand and it's major. But for someone else who's been in the game, that has worked on numerous projects, who has experience, may be like, cool, I hear where you're going, I hear your potential, but you're just not ready yet, you know? So you got to really take those no's as positive as you can, and allow you to grow instead of, you know, being bitter or angry by it.
No, I love that you're bringing up potential as well, because a girlfriend and I, we were talking earlier today about how potential shouldn't be a kiss of death or like a sign of like, oh, they're not worthy of the time because they have potential to be good. Well, the fact that you see that there's that ability of growing or getting better, like even cultivating into that direction. And I'm curious for you, like, was there anyone that stepped in that tried to, I guess, maybe encourage you to work on certain things, or did you just kind of figure it out on your own what you needed to work on and so on, or just you're like, okay, I gotta know, let me just go back into the lab and try something else or a different angle?
Right. Yeah, a lot of those label A&Rs that I met with, you know, was really brutal and honest. As I would love to go out, to events and industry events to just rub elbows and introduce myself to people. So I started kind of really building my network, you know, and you know, I met Buck Wild, and Buck Wild really was influential. Who's an amazing, legendary producer, you know, who's a part of the Hitmen as well. He produced "I Love You" for Faith Evans, and I Got a Story to Tell for Biggie, you know, and Nas, and he, you know, track record is crazy. Then I met Derek D. Angeletti, who became another mentor to me, who's also part of, you know, Bad Boy Hitman producers. He produced Hypnotize and All About the Benjamins and Love, you know, Money, Power, and Respect. And you can go on and on and on with him,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
with Mace. And, you know, these guys would just give me the jewels, you know, and it was up to me to be able to accept it and use it. You know, these are people that have come before me, that have hit records that were out. So it's like, how dare I not listen and take that advice and apply it to what I'm doing to be great as they are, you know? So yeah, I've definitely had a lot of people, you know, like I said, A&Rs and managers and artists that I met with that would critique what I was playing. The first thing I heard and it hurt, and it hurt so bad, was, yeah, man, I think the tracks are pretty cool, but your drums ain't hard enough. Oh, that hurt so bad because I'm a drummer first, So if anything, I would hope you would say, yo, you're lacking in melody. Your drums is fire, but you're lacking in melody. And it was like, your drums ain't hard enough. And it wasn't my fault. Like, it didn't have to do with me. It had to do with the equipment that I was using. I was using a keyboard to program the entire track from the melody and the drums, right? And then like, you ever heard the MPC? And I'm like, nah. It was like, look up the MPC 2000. And, it's not the cheapest thing in the world. I'm going to tell you that right now. You'll have some saving up to do, but the MPC 1000 will change your life. And it did. And I remember when I was, got the MPC 2000 and started, create my drums on there, and it was over. And then I would return to the meetings and to the studios, and I will be blowing out like the studio speakers because the drums were now too hard.
Oh no!
And I wasn't trying to fix nothing. The drums too hard. I'm not fixing nothing, bro. This is what it is. You said my drums wasn't hard enough. It wasn't knocking. Now I'm gonna knock you out of your chair, and now I'm gonna knock them speakers out of the wall. And now and then at that point developed like that name, like, Amadeus tracks are crazy as fire, but his drums is out of control, and that's what happened. So imagine if I didn't take heed and take it in a positive light, and they hate, they just don't want to see me win. It's like, nah, they know they talking about. They sitting behind his desk getting paid buku dollars by these labels. I think they know something, so yeah. I'm grateful that I listened to the advice that was given to me.
No, that's great advice, to know that there's a way to take that, I guess, what is it called? When it's a critique that actually will help you, that you can use. Because I hate when people will say something and it's very vague, like, I can't use that.
Right.
Give me feedback I can actually work with.
Right.
Or like, I'm curious, was there ever a time that you knew you did it wrong? Like, you went into the meeting with the wrong thing, or like any advice you could give to people, even with going into meetings, how to be prepared for it in a way where it's not you.
Yeah.
It's definitely them. Or,
Right.
Like, at least they'll be like, oh, you're not right for Interscope, but you're right for my little sister, or whoever, you know what I mean? So.
Right. You had to learn, as a producer, I'm saying, you had to learn to come prepared for what those A&Rs or artists were looking for, right?
Okay.
I didn't know. I just, my cousin set me up with the meeting to meet with Antwan AMADEUS Thompson. He didn't really say, yo, he's working on this, he's working on that, bring R&B beats. Like, for me as a producer, all I had was hip hop beats. So I was bringing to the table what I had, so I don't know, it's different genres and they looking for that. I don't know that. This is what I got. I'm going to play you what I got. Mm-hmm. And grateful enough for him to recognize the talent. And even though it didn't fit him, it fit, Foxy, so. And that's people who know what they're doing, so I'm appreciative of me taking that meeting with him and not just saying, yo, you don't fit what I'm working on, and just be like, all right, cool, nice meeting you, which I've had in the past. So it's about preparing and sometimes doing research on your own. If, those individuals that you're meeting with aren't preparing you for what, or sharing with you what they're working on, so it's like, all right, I know I'm going to Def Jam, right? And I know Def Jam got DMX, Def Jam has at Ja Rule, Shanti, Redman, Method Man. So I know this already. So it's like, I don't know who's working on what, whose projects are what, but I'm going to come prepared with music that can fit all of those artists and then kind of fill it out from there. So, you always want to research and take your time and know who you're meeting with and who they have on the roster. And it just shows, it's kind of like an impressive thing where it's like, I'm meeting you for the first time. I'm coming in here and I already know you're working on Jadakiss, the Lox, Mace, and Faith Evans. Like, I know that already. So I'm bringing you music that could possibly fit those artists. So I think it's a kind of a moment where you impress the person you meet with, because it's like, okay, he did do, his due diligence,
You're right. Now, for me being, I was clubbing a lot in your early years. So I'm looking through and I'm like looking at songs I remember hanging out to a lot. And a certain group is just recently mentioned that they're getting back together. So I have to ask, any plans to do anything with Danity Kane?
Wow.
You didn't expect that one, because Showstopper was my thing. That was like my
definitely didn't expect that one.
I mean, I'm gonna ask about the other ones too, but
Right.
I was
No,
like,
yeah.
wait, Danny Kane? Like it just stuck out compared to everybody else, where it's like Little Mo, T.I., Fabulous, and then Danny Kane.
Yeah, Danny Kane to
Yeah.
me was really dope. Puff was absolutely genius in forming them and putting them together. You know, different young ladies of different walks of life. And was able to gather them together as one team and one unit and create a dope group. And they're incredible to me. So yeah, I would love to, reconnect with them and be a part of this next project. And it's funny because I'm not sure where they are with it today, but I remember sending Dawn from the group like messages and emails and text messages, and I kind of lost contact with her. So Dawn, if you're watching, Aubrey, if you're watching, this is your brother, Antwan Amadeus. Pleasure to work with you guys on Welcome to the Dollhouse. Would love, to continue to work with you guys in the near future for whatever project you're working on. So shout out to Camille for bringing that up and creating this moment for me to talk about it publicly in hopes that, you queens would see this interview and be like, yo, we got to call Amadeus, so, and we'll owe that to Queen Camille.
I appreciate it. No, it's funny. I would listen to that. So when I got married in the party remix, because I'm not going to admit where I used to download my music from, LimeWire, and
Right.
I remember putting a lot of Danny Kane on there to a point. He was like, "What about me?" I was like, "All right, fine." So he's from the West Coast, so I had to put a lot of E40, Tupac,
That's dope.
Andre Nicotina, stuff like that. So,
Right.
But yeah, I had to put my girls on. But so let's get to I want to make sure that we have time to talk about your touring as well. But I mean, you've worked with so many people. What are some of the stories that stick out to you the most from your career that you're the most, I guess, not necessarily proud of, because I'm sure they're all your babies. Like to choose one over the other is impossible because I'm sure each one has a special place for you. But
right.
Is there any that you were just like, I remember this moment happening, or any to that effect that just really stuck out to you?
And like you said, quite a few, man. Just thinking about a kid being from the Bronx, playing in church as a musician, playing in school with hopes that, me being from New York, of playing Madison Square Garden, one day as a musician and as a drummer, and to be able to do that about 5 or 6 times, was epic. On tour, opening up for Jay-Z, we played Madison Square Garden. Opening up for Usher, we played Madison Square Garden. This is with Trey Songz, of course. Mariah Carey did like a New Year's Eve show, and we got to open up for Mariah Carey at Madison Square Garden. So, various times and opportunities to do that. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a sports fan, sports fanatic. Of course, working with.
Who's your teams? I'm going to assume New York teams, but just in case, who are your teams?
So football is my favorite sport.
Okay.
So I'm a New York Giant. Basketball, I've always supported all New York teams, right? And then a few years ago, I had an issue with the Knicks because of what they did with Carmelo Anthony, and I took that very personal with them letting go Carmelo and stuff like that. So I don't know. I can't really say I'm a Knicks fan today. I'm telling you, once Carmelo left, yeah, I stopped watching. I don't want to go. I don't want to have nothing to do with the Knicks whatsoever. Like, I can't even tell you right now, like, who's on the team. Like, for real. Yeah. So, and that's just me. Like, I'm really big on loyalty. I'm really big on, showing true and genuine love. And Melo, his heart was New York. And of course, I don't feel like he had the correct pieces around him to get a championship. But he did the best that he could do with what he had, and to just be like, all right, yeah, we're done. It's like, really, bro? And it's like you bringing in people that you didn't bring in anybody that was better than him. You didn't bring in anybody to replace him to fill that spot. Like, you didn't do that. So what was the point of letting him go? So I'm a little still, as you can see, a little spicy still about the situation. But yeah, I'm a New York guy. So, Yankees, I developed a relationship with my brother Robinson Cano, who was a Yankee, won a chip with the Yankees, went to Seattle Mariners, and then got traded from Seattle to the New York Mets. And we met. It was funny because we met at Philippe Chow, which is a really amazing restaurant in the city. And I was that night celebrating me producing 9 songs on Chris Brown's Heartbreak on the Full Moon. And he just randomly like showed up, and they put me in a private area because I know the manager. Shout out to Costas. And he put me in a separate room, but then he brought Robinson Cano down in this party to be in the same room. So I'm eating, and I turn around and I'm like, and one thing about me, when it comes to like people who don't do what I do, right. I'm a fanatic. I'm a fan. Like, okay. So musicians, sorry. So athletes and actors and actresses, like, I'm like a huge fan. So I'm like fanning out. So I'm like, yo, it's Robinson, man. It's Robinson Cano. So everybody's eating. So, you got to be mindful. So I kind of say what's up, and he says what's up. And I'm like rushing through my food, so and hopefully he can rush through his so that I can actually really say something. So I act like I had to go to the bathroom and, come over to the table. I'm like, yo, man, I'm a huge fan, this and that. I'm in the music side of things. I know you do sports, but maximum respect. He was super cool, chopped it up for a little bit, took a picture, exchanged contact info with him and his manager. And that's how we connected, man. And that's me. So, and the fact that he was so supportive musically, just super cool. I started supporting him, with the Mets. Then I started getting, my guys like, what happened? I'm like, yo, my boy plays on the Mets. I gotta support the Mets because my boy plays on the Mets. What you want me to do? And that's just me as a person, man. So I know I kind of went off on a tangent, man. But no, yeah, I'm all New York. I'm all New Yorked out, and yeah. So.
No, this is fascinating to me because I didn't grow up in one place my whole life. So just to hear somebody being loyal to an area and to a point where until Carmelo Anthony gets kicked off, and then hearing how you became a Mets fan, like, this is all very fascinating to me. So it's no tangent, no apologies needed.
And I know we run on. Listen, and here's what I'm gonna do with you. Okay. I know we run out of time. Let's come back and do a part 2 because I feel like there's probably so much more that we haven't talked about. So whenever you're available, we'll talk offline and reschedule. I just want to be of as much of a blessing as I can to you and your viewers that are tuned in, that are appreciating this conversation. And I feel like, we're running out of time, and there's probably some more stuff that you will want to discuss. So just know, I'm definitely down to come back ASAP whenever you're ready, to do a part 2, just to continue the conversation and not, have you feel like you left anything out. But, so the Melo thing, right? Shout out to Portland for picking him up. Portland Trailblazers signed him, and he's been doing very, very well. And I'm bringing that up because I think it's a moment to talk about briefly, like, how people sometimes count you out, and kick you to the curb, based off of, maybe you having, ample years in whatever it is that you're doing, and they kind of want to go with the young and new, and not put no respect, or enough respect on the OGs, and I'm just grateful that Portland, supported him and gave him opportunities because he's definitely playing better than a lot of people that are on teams and have real spots. And it just goes to show you sometimes that the politics can, overpower the real and authentic talent of a person, where it's like, yeah, but he's this age and he's been doing this for this long and he didn't do that for the Knicks. So why would we need him over there? And it just shows you the mentality that people and corporations have. So, I'm bringing that up just to encourage people, man. Sometimes people are going to say no. Sometimes people are not going to give you a chance, but you got to keep working and you got to stay ready. And that's one thing that Melo did as a athlete was stay ready. Even though he wasn't playing on a team, he kept shooting in the gym and he made sure that he was ready, in shape, willing and able, and once got that phone call, ready to move. And I feel like in life sometimes, you're so stuck in a position or so stuck in your comfort zone, right? And you don't want to move and you don't want to, you want to stay left and don't want to go right because you want to stay left. You got to be flexible. You got to be willing to adapt to change. And, you got to go where you're celebrated versus tolerated. You know what I mean? So I just kind of
want to be humble too. I mean, to have played that long and to get sent somewhere else or to start somewhere else new, it's very easy for him to feel like he should be starting everything and just be the center of attention when he's kind of been like that, I guess, for the
Yeah,
next.
like I'm not coming off the bench. I'm me.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes you gotta put your pride and ego to the side and get in. And then once you win, show and prove, and then make them or force them to put you where you feel you deserve, or where you feel you deserve to be. So I just wanted to tie that in together.
Oh, absolutely. No, it all made sense. Now I gotta ask, because you worked at a nightclub. You do a nightclub residency.
Yes.
So how does that work? Because I saw your I don't know if it was live. It was IGTV where Snoop Dogg, you were performing with him. I don't even know where to start with that.
No, I got you.
How much fun is that? Like every week or weekend, I don't know how frequently you're there, that you get a new artist to perform with, and how do you prepare for that? Like, how do you know what you're gonna play? Yeah,
it's epic, man, and I'm grateful how that whole situation came about. Trey has a residency there first, so it was me performing, with him and the Trey Songz Experience, which is my team and family, that actually got the attention of the owners and the powers that be at Dre's, and it was like one night where right before I was to play my set with Trey, he's like, yeah, I want you to hop on the drums a little bit with the DJ and just play alongside the DJ. I just kind of want to get a vibe, and I'm like, okay, I didn't even know who the guy was who asked me to do that, but I did it, all in love and music. I love music. Why not? I just didn't want to tire myself out so that once it's time to play my set with Trey, I'm all tired from, going crazy with the DJ. So knocked it out. It was really cool. It was fun. And I remember Trey's manager was like, my brother George was like, yo, man, they really liked you on the drums with the DJ. They kind of want to create and have a conversation about how you can come out and play alongside the DJ and have your own residency here as a drummer and a musician at Dre's. And I'm like, what? So yeah, and that was like 3 or 4 years ago. And every weekend, or pretty much every other weekend, I would fly out to Las Vegas from New York, perform Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and fly back on Mondays. And it was super epic. Shout out to DJ Franzen, who is the DJ that I play alongside, the headlining DJ that I play alongside every night, every weekend. And Trey still has a residency there, so I perform with Trey. The Snoop Dogg thing was really unique because I don't normally perform with other artists there, And there was a moment where I play my set before the headlining artist performs. So I play my set alongside a DJ for an hour or hour and a half before the artist performs. So it was a moment where I was done. I was chilling, rocking out to Snoop, and Snoop turned around and saw me on the drums and was like, hey, nephew, you on the drums already, so you might as well hit the skins for OG. And that's how it happened. And I started playing Gin and Juice and, of course, me being a musician and a producer and just a fan of music and hip hop, I know all of those songs. So I'm rocking. And it was funny because his manager, it starts yelling at me like, what are you doing? Stop playing drums. So I'm like arguing with his manager and trying to play at the same time because they are not aware that Snoop told me to play.
Okay.
So I didn't take it personal because they're doing the right thing. They just thought I just started playing, and I'm turning around like, yo, the OG told me to play. And like the DJs and the people that work there was like telling them to calm down. Like he asked for them to play, and then it was cool, But yeah, it was. I've had so many epic moments there with Snoop. I had moments where I played alongside 50 Cent, Fabulous, and it's just all spur of the moment, man. With me just hopping on and just playing a song or two and creating a moment with drums, those artists and the DJ, and just making it sound bigger. Because that's what the drums is doing for the club and the music and the goers, making it sound bigger, So that's I'm grateful to my Dre's family. Of course, due to the pandemic, Vegas is shut down, the clubs are shut down. So I haven't been there in the last, since about January, February. And honestly, with the way things are going, probably won't be able to return till, maybe next year, 2021. So it's definitely difficult. And then same thing with Trey, unable to perform, man. So it is what it is, but I'm grateful to be alive, grateful to be healthy. And then when we're able to get back to normal, looking forward to touching that stage again and doing what I love and giving people, an amazing experience.
Absolutely. Now, are there any plans of you going live? Because you hear of all these different DJs going live and so on. Have you thought of maybe doing some live streaming events or anything upcoming?
Me personally,
some award shows too. So.
Right. Me personally, no. I mean, if Trey decides he wants to create that, or a virtual show or something like that, I'll definitely be down with it. But me personally, nah, I'm just honestly really enjoying the downtime. I've been moving nonstop, for 19 years, honestly. And one thing about business in the entertainment world, you got to move while you're hot. You got to strike while you're hot. So I don't get a lot of downtime. So I'm grateful for the downtime. I wish it wasn't under these circumstances. With the COVID-19 happening, all of the police killings and brutality that's been going on, nonstop, that we're really paying close attention to and fighting and standing up and protesting to and for, but. It is what it is. And I'm just taking this moment and this downtime to have moments and share amazing moments like these, to just empower the people, inspire the people, share my story in hopes of being of encouragement and inspiration to those that are able to hear my story and hear my journey and push them into theirs. So that's pretty much, what I've been, dealing with and doing for the last couple of months. Not sure what the future holds, with all that's going on. So I'm just, taking it one day at a time. And really just trying to be as much of a blessing as I can, to anyone that I come in contact, whether it's, here, via social media, with our interviews, anywhere I can be a blessing is kind of what I'm really focused on at this moment,
No, and I noticed earlier that you had a little Amadeus walking by. So I'm sure your family's enjoying having you home every weekend. And during
I don't know. I'm hearing I get on people's nerves. I don't agree with that.
Wait, are you drumming really loud while they're trying to sleep or something?
No,
Or
I'm a lot though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a lot though. I have a lot of energy. I'm very loud. I'm very vibrant. I'm very extra, so that's me. So, but like you said, besides all of that, it's always a blessing to be able to be with your loved ones, because a lot of people have lost loved ones, so even though I'm annoying, you're rather your family member be annoying than to not be here, so yeah, I have 2 kids. I have a baby girl, a little princess and a little prince. My boy is 15, girl is 7, and they keep me on my toes, man. They definitely keep me on my toes.
Now, either of them have shown any signs of musical interest or basketball for that matter?
A little here and there. Baby girls, started off by saying she wanted to be a ballerina. We watch World of Dance, so shout out to Neo and J-Lo and everybody that's on the show. So since in the last few weeks, she started saying that now she's a hip hop dancer. So we'll see where that takes us. My son, started, drumming like me, into the production like me, the DJing, and now it's, starting to really move forward with football, having a love and passion for that. But the thing he loves the most is airplanes. Like he loves airplanes, he loves jets, and his dream is to be a pilot. So I'm supporting them in whatever it is that they want to do and be. My son has my name, not Amadeus, but my real name, Antwan Jamel Thompson Sr. is my name. So his name is Antwan Jamel Thompson Jr. And I've made sure that I expressed to him, just because you have my name doesn't mean you have to follow in my footsteps or be me or try to be the next me. Like I want you to be you. I want you to be your own person, and whatever you decide to do or become, you have my full support. So if that's you wanting to be a pilot, I'm going to support you, as a pilot, because at the end of the day, as a musician and as a producer, very close to the pilots, because I spend, maybe 50% of my time in the air. So maybe it'll be a dope moment in life down the line where I'm actually being flown by my son somewhere, so that'll be epic.
No, that's pretty cool. And I gotta mention, I guess, because you have on the shirt,
Yeah.
Platinum Boy. So we'll do a quick little bit about that, and then we'll head out because it's 7:00 already. So I want to make sure, where can people reach you, get in contact with you, if they have beats they want to send you or get involved more? Because you seem like the kind of guy that would actually help and send them in the right direction. So
Absolutely. So my Instagram, Amadeus PBM, AMADEUS PBM on Instagram. Also on Instagram, Platinum Boy Music, platinum like the color, BOY Music. On Twitter, it's actually Producer Amadeus. I'm gonna spell my name again, AMADEUS, Producer Amadeus. That's, the best place to reach me. I'm really more on Instagram out of all of the social media platforms. I'm on Facebook as well, but I didn't max that thing out. I don't even know how to use it. But that's the best way to reach me.
That's why I use a third party app. Facebook changes too much.
Yeah,
I can't.
I'm Instagram is it for me. Twitter as well. Send me a DM. I'm pretty good with that. I do my best to respond to people. I do my best to respond to as many people as I can, with the comments, stuff like that. I just love interacting with people because people don't have to appreciate me. People don't have to comment, don't have to like anything, so I'm always grateful for those that do. So that's how you reach me. Again, I'm grateful for this conversation. I know, we've run out of time. And again, I'm going to post you again. I would love to come back and have a part 2 just so that we've gotten out, all of the questions you may have or questions that the audience may have. Let's come back and do a part 2 and make it epic again.
Sounds like a plan. I thank you so much for spending your time with us and sharing your stories. This has really been great. And I also want to say again, hopefully that your friend's mom will recover quickly and
so much.
Be out soon. And we'll be thinking about her.
Amen.
For sure, sending all the positive vibes her way.
Amen. Thank you so much.
To him as well.
Amen.
It's not easy being a caregiver either.
Right.
So both sides of that.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again for hanging out with me today. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm going to do it again. Amadeus.
Hey.
Well, again, thanks again. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
You too, Queen. Blessings to you.
Stopping by.
God bless. Right. Thank you.
Thanks again. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. That was my guest, Amadeus. Make sure you follow him on all the different social media platforms like he mentioned earlier. And I'll be back tomorrow with Oya Media Group. It's 2 ladies who have started this film production company out of Canada, and they've won 2 Canadian Screen Awards for their recent documentary, which they'll share more information about tomorrow. I do not want to butcher their names, but know that they'll be here tomorrow. And then tomorrow's already Wednesday. It's going so fast. Then Thursday, I'm so excited. I have another guest for you guys. I'm totally blanking on who that is right now, so bear with me. Of course, I know everyone. Yeah. Of course. Geechee Dan, the Hip Hop Museum. I wanted to make sure I didn't say the wrong who's Thursday, who's Friday, but Thursday will be Geechee Dan with the Hip Hop Museum, and we'll be talking with him. And then Friday, I'll be over on Instagram Live. Speaking of Instagram, we'll be over there doing a live with Shay McCrae from Shay McCrae Show, as well as Forebode Radio. I cannot wait to talk to her. She's also done some acting and so forth as well, so she'll be a lot of fun to talk to. Friday over on Instagram. The rest of the week, you can catch me right here, either on YouTube or Facebook. Now that Be Live simulcast in 2 different places. So check me out, share with your friends, make sure others know. And we definitely need to get this interview to Danny DeCane so we can get a part 2 to Welcome to the Dollhouse. I don't know. I really love Danny DeCane. So judge me if you want to. I like girl groups. What can I say?